the crossroads of the Ozarks. It's the OGs of podcasting. PID Radio. Welcome. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert, and yes, we're in our home again in the living room. Home again, home again. We were gone last weekend.
We were at a wonderful conference, the Remnant Rising conference in Springfield, Missouri.
You can still get the streaming, which I think once you pay for it, you've got it forever.
Yeah, that's what Mike Kerr and Jeannie Moore Kerr have said, that you basically you pay for the video on demand and you own those forever. You do not have a time limit where you got to watch them within 90 days. It's really a great deal. And boy, some of those presentations.
I have a question. What is the platform where Mike has stored those videos? Do you know? I ask because I think there may have been in your presentation, possibly in another one, buzzwords and phrases that set off certain platform AIs. That's
a good question. I don't think so, because I was careful not to do that this time after causing a problem for the Go Therefore conference.
Well, I don't feel that it's incumbent upon speakers to curb our language in a way that how do I say this? We're not afraid to speak truth.
Right.
You and I, believe in speaking truth, and when we can use a similar phrase and still get the point across without triggering something, we try to do that because we want these Mars Hill platforms to remain open to believers as long as possible.
Yes.
And I believe you got kicked off a couple of times.
Yeah. I've done that to a couple of conferences now. Go Therefore, and then actually the other Hear the Watchman conference back in during COVID.
Yet they keep asking you back.
Yeah.
It's because you do speak truth.
I'm so controversial.
You are.
I think the video platform hosting it is the same one that didn't like me the two other times.
Well, then you better register soon for the streaming and go to Derek's first. And if you go to Derek's and you find that it isn't there, let us know.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, in fact.
It is there. Well, that's all right.
Well, let's see. Yeah, there it is.
Well.
So, how about that? Yeah, I was very careful because I was going to make the same comment about, say, the lockdowns that I had made previously. And
using that term,
I didn't,
the L word.
Yeah, well, I don't even know if I used that or not. But anyway, I made a gesture that made it clear what I was referring to rather than actually saying the words. So
there we
go.
We'll just put it in big writing. Of course, these AIs read writing as well. So what are you going to do?
You go to hearthewatchmen.com. That's plural, hearthewatchmen.com. And if you use promo code OASIS, OASIS, you will save $10 on the registration.
Oh, gotta love that.
Yeah, so that will knock it. But I'll tell you what, the presentations there, I thought your brief presentation on how we're
10 minutes?
reliving the 1930s, but it was a lot in 10 minutes, and I think you really made an excellent point that what we're seeing around us in the world today is a repeat of what happened 90 years ago. The irony is that left and right, the far left and the far right here in the U.S., and I suspect around the world as well, have kind of lapped one another to the point where they've connected.
They're two faces on the same head.
Right. It's like Janus, the old Roman god.
They both want to control you. They just use different words.
They do, and the other thing that they really agree about is they just really hate the Jews. So, and it's really strange that they differ on a lot of other things, but the woke right and the woke left have found common cause in demonizing Israel and demonizing Jews.
It's one reason you and I go to Israel. We love going to Israel, but as long as the Lord allows us to be strong enough and to be able to go, we will go, even if the tour is teeny. We love taking 3 buses or 4 buses or whatever, but if it's just a van full of people. We've done that too.
Yeah.
We love to go because we want to show the people of Israel and Lipkin tours that we believe in them.
Right. And also, and this is a point that I made during my presentation titled War of the Watchers, but it's essentially the war for control of the land that God decreed would be his. And you see it all throughout Scripture, but I think it's explicit in Psalm 132, verses 13 and 14. God said, Zion is where he will dwell. Here I will dwell, for I have desired it. This is my home forever. And the enemy wants to take that away from him for a couple of reasons. Number one, we believe, and this is in the presentation, I summarized why we wrote in our book Veneration that Jerusalem is the site of Eden. Carl Gallup's reached the same conclusion in his book Gods of Ground Zero, but coming at it from a different direction. We don't perceive it now. It's in a different dimension. Okay, it's there's a spirit realm, and that's where Eden is, but it will be restored to earth. That's the new heaven, the new earth. Eden was intended to be the earth, and that was lost with the fall. The enemy wants to take it because it belongs to God. They want to knock God off his throne. And there are those who, whether they know it or not, are serving these dark entities. And that's what war for Israel has been about since Eden, frankly. And so anyway, in that talk, I pointed out that what we see on the ground every time we're in Israel has no relationship to what's being reported by the media, especially the Western media. It's astonishing because twice now, especially when we were there in 2018, and we were there during the time our embassy, the U.S. embassy, was moved from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, May 14th, which was the 70th anniversary of Israel's independence. And Hamas organized days of rage at the Gaza border fence. They were burning tires and throwing things, and people back here thought all of Israel was on fire and that we were in danger. And in Jerusalem, 50 miles away, which really isn't that far when you think about it, but 50 miles away, life went on as usual. And the reporters for the Western media were staying in the same hotel we were in, the King David, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And they were laughing about it. Yeah, I'm going to go down and do a stand-up at the border fence with fire behind me. I'll be back in time for drinks. Like, they knew that they were putting out propaganda.
They did.
They were laughing about it.
They did. They would stand on the Mount of Olives and act as if they were in a war zone.
Yeah. Like, Geraldo Rivera, dodging invisible bullets,
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one of the things we hope to convey is that things on the ground in Israel are not the way it's been represented over here.
Well, we have been half a mile from the Gaza fence.
Oh, half a mile when we were there last spring.
Yeah, and we've been that close to it.
Yeah.
Not gone into Gaza, just so you understand. Tourists are not allowed into Gaza, and people on flotillas don't get in either.
Yeah.
We could see into it, and we could see that, yes, there were IDF actions taking place, but we were completely safe.
Yeah.
Nothing was happening. It was like a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm. And when we were in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem and elsewhere in Israel last spring, which, again, that was just 7 months into the war, and Hamas was still lobbing rockets over,
this is
and Hezbollah
spring of
was
2024.
Right. And life was going on as usual. Mm. People are just aware, okay, if the siren goes, I've got X amount of time to find a shelter, but there are shelters everywhere.
Yeah, this is part of the theopolitical action over there, and by that I mean it's part of the spiritual war that you're writing about. Mm-hmm. This long war that's been going on probably began before Adam was created.
Yeah.
A long, long time.
Yeah. So
about to end, though.
Yes, and we are looking forward to having read the end of the book, knowing that things will end well for those who believe in Jesus. It'll be a difficult road between now and then.
Well, may I transition into something that is connected to take us into the first story we're going to discuss. If you're new to this, PID radio is PID because it's peering into darkness.
Yes.
And we call it that simply because Derek and I love the news, we love history, we love the Bible, we love the Lord. And so we try to look at the headlines of the day and understand them through the lens of spiritual warfare. So there is a story out there that many Christians are talking about. It's Peter Thiel, who is a big tech warrior. I mean,
right.
he's established so many tech organizations, and one of them is Palantir.
Yeah.
And he's going to talk about the Antichrist.
Yeah. Peter Thiel was an early investor in PayPal, Facebook. He's got a venture capital fund called Founders Fund, which is also invested in a number of other things.
And he's connected to another company called Anduril.
Yes.
Through a former employee, and for all I know, he's invested in it. Wouldn't surprise me if he has.
Right, yeah. Oh, they are invested in Anduril.
Well, Anduril is the sword from the Lord of the Rings.
Just as Palantir is the seeing stone from Lord of the Rings. So, yeah, Anduril was the sword that was reforged, the sword that was remade.
Broken when the, Isildur, yes, cut off the finger of Sauron to get the ring.
Yeah, and that was the one ring that ruled them all. The sword was broken, it was reforged, and then Aragorn, the king, the future king, would use that to overcome the forces of evil and reestablish Gondor to its proper glory.
What's so interesting is the tension between those two companies. Anduril implies fighting against the evil forces and winning.
Yes.
Palantir implies communing and communicating with the fallen realm.
Right.
It was a way to communicate with Sauron.
Yeah, these seeing stones allowed the kings of Middle-earth to communicate one with another, but what they didn't realize is that it was allowing Sauron to see them, but also to draw them in. And
it was like the internet back in the day.
Yeah. Peter Thiel is also a transhumanist, which is also very odd for one who professes to be a Christian. He's talked about his evangelical Christianity, but he is 57 years old.
Now, he goes to this Epic Church, correct?
I believe so. Yeah, the Epic Church in San Francisco is at the center of a story that involves Thiel, but also Trae Stephens, it's Trae, who is the founder of Anduril, with, I'm going to forget his name, but it was the guy who invented the Oculus Rift headset. Mackey, I think.
I can't remember his name, sorry.
But he sold the invention, the Oculus Rift. Peter Palmer Luckey is his name. It was the virtual reality headset that he sold to Facebook, and Facebook has now integrated it into Meta and its VR, which seems to have kind of gone by the wayside. It's not really getting the kind of buzz that it did a few years ago. But Luckey made, lucky for him, $2 billion on that sale, and then reinvested it into various ventures, including Anduril. Anduril is a bunch of Defense Department contracts that it seems to be focusing on the use of surveillance technology and the production of drones, quite honestly. Unmanned aerial systems, semi-portable autonomous surveillance systems, and networked command and control software, the software called Lattice, which is intended to leverage artificial intelligence to network defense systems together, which is a problem the Defense Department has had for a long time. I remember talking to a man I knew 35 years ago, who was at the time a Marine Corps lieutenant colonel and an F-18 pilot, who told me that during Gulf War I, the majority of American service military injuries during Gulf War I were friendly fire injuries. In other words, Saddam Hussein's military inflicted fewer injuries, casualties on the U.S. military than we did to ourselves. And it's mainly because the network, or rather the software systems, the communications systems of the different branches of service, and I don't know if this is still true, but I think it is, don't necessarily communicate with each other. So the Navy pilots can't see which units on the ground, Army units, are ours and which are the enemy's. So Lattice is one attempt to try to network those. But in fact, as I was reading about this, even finding out just that our two most recent iterations of warplanes, the F-22 and the F-35, don't communicate with each other. They've got different software systems that are not compatible. So, and that's a problem when you've got different contractors that want to build for the military. They don't necessarily want to communicate with the existing systems. They've got their own engineers, their own coders, and so forth.
Well, it's similar to the servers that are used for the various branches of the military and the various departments of government. They're not necessarily talking to one another.
Yeah.
That we know of.
That we know of, right. But an AI system like the Lattice system developed by Anduril is one effort to try to overcome that problem by running them through its softwares. Anyway, the bottom line is this: you've got these tech entrepreneurs like Trae Stephens, Palmer Luckey, Peter Thiel. Gary Tan is another one who's mentioned in an article by Vanity Fair on this, which was actually pretty balanced. A lot of times when you get a secular and especially a left-leaning publication that writes about Christianity, it's
sort of redundant.
Yeah, most media out there is left-leaning. It's very antagonistic towards Christians. The headline, or what did they say? Here's the headline: Christianity was borderline illegal in Silicon Valley. Now it's the new religion. The overall point of the article is that because of prominent men like Peter Thiel, who, even though he's gay and he's a transhumanist, believing that we can overcome death through science, and he's helping to build surveillance and command and control technologies through his investments in Palantir and Anduril. And Palantir's got a bunch of government contracts as well. It's basically for data mining and interpretation. I told Judd Burton I would credit him for this. When Peter Thiel's got these upcoming speaking engagements on the Antichrist in September, I think it's.
I saw that Judd had commented on it.
4 consecutive weeks, September 15th, 22nd, 29th, and October 6th at the Commonwealth Club in San Francisco. So if you're interested, you can go hear what Peter Thiel has to say. I'm sure we'll be reading about this and reporting back. But Judd's comment was, it's like more doors to Mordor. The irony here, and I don't think the Vanity Fair author has enough of a frame of reference of Christianity and especially eschatology to see where all of this is leading. You seem to have prominent men like Thiel, Gary Tan, who's a very prominent and wealthy tech investor, Trae Stephens, Palmer Luckey, and so forth, who have now made it fashionable. Not just acceptable, I think it's more fashionable. One of the tech billionaires interviewed by the author of the Vanity Fair piece said, there's no question, some people are leveraging Christianity to get closer to Peter Thiel. It's like in the 4th century when Constantine legalized Christianity, and suddenly becoming a Christian was a path to getting closer to the power, the emperor. Okay? Whereas previous to that, Christianity was, borderline illegal, and again, just as it was in Silicon Valley.
And then it became really cool.
Yeah, 10 years ago in Silicon Valley, if you admitted you were a Christian, you were essentially persona non grata. The Vanity Fair piece says that there was actually a spreadsheet that was quietly circulated amongst Christians in Silicon Valley, so they knew who they could trust. It was almost like living in the catacombs. People there wouldn't openly proclaim their faith because they knew they would be blackballed, they would be cut out of, they wouldn't be able to work. Like, okay, well, maybe that's not your career path then. Maybe you should go start a tech startup somewhere else, like in Springfield, Missouri, which is like the buckle of the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is what struck me, is that it appears that Peter Thiel is now Emperor Constantine, and he has legalized Christianity. He's made Christianity not only acceptable, but fashionable. And people are coming to events where they think that, yeah, if I say I believe in Jesus, I can, after sitting through a sermon, I can, afterwards, while having coffee, I can maybe pitch my startup idea to Peter Thiel or Gary Tan.
Well, yeah, that's entirely possible. I mean, let's face it, humans often work for themselves.
Yes.
Peter Thiel's faith is a personal thing, and I'm going to just say the Lord is the only one who knows his heart.
Yes.
The choices he makes and has made, we all sin. So whatever his choices have been, I'm not going to say, no, you're past salvation. However, and I say this with having read the statement of faith at the Epic Church website.
Which is the church in downtown San Francisco.
Right,
that is we're sort of becoming the hub for this.
Exactly. I would love to watch some of the sermons, and I need to do that. I just had a little bit of time this morning, so I read through the Statement of Faith. The majority of that Statement of Faith is very similar to most statements at any church website. Believe in the Trinity, in the full divinity, full humanity of Jesus Christ. Salvation is through Christ and Christ alone. He is coming back, things like that. One thing that was missing was born of a virgin. That's on most statements of faith. However, there is a statement there that seems to imply dominionism.
Yeah.
And it's the role of the church. The role of the church body seems, according to the statement of faith, seems to be given a mandate to change the world.
Yeah.
Now, I'm paraphrasing. And it could be that that's not what they mean at all. I may be reading something into it that isn't there, but it sure sounded like that to me.
And that was one of the takeaways I got from the Vanity Fair piece, that the reason that these professing Christians feel okay with partnering with the Defense Department, which they've done. In fact, Anduril was set up specifically to bring tech entrepreneurship, in other words, the tech startup energy and ideas, to the Defense Department, because frankly, we were falling behind. I mean, just looking at it from a geopolitical standpoint, we're falling behind China when it comes to that kind of investment, but also because they just realized, hey, the Defense Department has billions of dollars to throw around. Why aren't we getting some? And that is, in fact, what they have done. And that's how Palantir and Anduril have become so embedded in the government over the past few years. It began with the first Trump presidency and has continued now. Thiel was a very early and vocal supporter of President Trump. And they are... As
Elon Musk
was. And, even you've got very prominent guys like Elon Musk and Jordan Peterson, the Canadian philosopher who has become very popular among conservatives and especially conservative young men. I would just say don't base your theology on the teachings of Musk or Peterson. They may be fine men, but I don't know that either one of them has a deep theological understanding.
Well, can I just say that the doctrine behind transhumanism is antithetical to biblical doctrine.
Oh, absolutely.
It's salvation through yourself.
Yes. And that's kind of the takeaway from the Vanity Fair article. I get rabbit trailed before I got to that point. Yes, we can create heaven on earth, and we can use technology to do it. Mm-hmm. Look, God created us to be creative beings, which is why we are given a talent and an appreciation for things like music and artwork and beautiful buildings, architecture and so forth. We're not created to just simply survive, to exist. God created us to use these talents, but they're to be used for His glory,
right? Not
to glorify ourselves. God, that doesn't mean we're supposed to build these elaborate, ornate churches. Those aren't necessarily to glorify. A lot of times they were to glorify the king who built them. Like, who was the Byzantine emperor who, when they completed the Hagia Sophia, said, "Now I'm greater than Solomon," or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was more about him than it was about glorifying God.
Let me read this passage. I found it again at theepicchurch.com. If you go under their about, then they'll have what we believe. What they believe about the church. We believe God's plan for restoring the world to Himself is to use the local churches gathered together as the global church worldwide. That's really vague. It's very vague, but it hints at dominionism.
It does,
restoring the world to Himself?
As I understand the Bible, God restores the world to Himself when He returns at the head of the heavenly host.
It almost sounds like we have a co-redemptive part.
Which is that, no. We are to occupy this space until He comes. And occupy does not mean take dominion of. We are to take dominion of the earth, but that didn't mean taking dominion over other people. We're not supposed to conquer others.
That is what Adam was supposed to do.
Right.
And he failed.
Yeah. Jesus was very specific. The Gentiles, the pagans, rule over one another. It is not to be so among you. So we are not called to conquer the world. You're right. That does hint at dominionism.
It does.
And again, that's kind of the takeaway from the sense of the Vanity Fair article.
Our mandate is vertical and horizontal. We love the Lord God with all our heart, souls, and mind. That's vertical. Love others as we love ourselves. That's horizontal. And loving others as we love ourselves doesn't mean we want to rule over them. I'm just going to rule over you in the name of Christ. Here, let me just bash you with the cross.
Yeah.
in Christian love.
Yeah.
No, I don't agree with dominionism. I believe that when the Lord returns, He will set up His kingdom.
Yeah.
We do not set it up for Him. It's a parallel to the idea that the Jewish, those in the Jewish community who believe that if they build the third temple, He will come, or when Messiah arrives, He will then build the third temple, and they will all, worship together. We as the church, as you say, are to occupy, and we are given our marching orders, if you want to call it that, but they're really not marching. It's standing.
Yes.
In Ephesians 6, you're told to stand many times.
Yeah, 4 times. Stand, stand, withstand. Yeah, not charge, conquer. The author of the piece, in the concluding paragraph, writes that some of what Gary Tan, again, one of these prominent tech investors, had been getting at on stage, this was referring to an event at which a lot of these people had gathered, reminded me of those Silicon Valley technologists that he'd been warned about. That so-and-so.
I'm going to turn my mic off because I'm hearing a dog
whimpering
whine.
a little bit. Well,
yeah.
Okay, I'll be reading here for a moment.
Carry on.
the ones who are so eager to manufacture their own God using artificial intelligence and so forth. And admittedly, at one point in the reporting of this story, I started down a highly cynical, conspiratorial line of thought that some people in Silicon Valley, like Tan, were cloaking their ambitions to build a God under the guise of traditional religion. Like a 21st century version of Joseph Smith, that's the founder of Mormonism, the Church of Latter-day Saints, with a direct line to a godlike intelligence that performs technological miracles. I posited to Eliezer Yudkowsky, the co-founder of the Thiel-backed Machine Intelligence Research Institute, who has warned that the unchecked development of super-intelligent machines will result in humanity's certain extinction. Now, parenthetically here, Eliezer Yudkowsky is the guy that we've talked about previously, who was the one who was freaked out by the thought experiment of Rocco's basilisk.
Yes.
Yeah, a future super intelligent machine. It will become so powerful it can go back in time and then begin manipulating events to make sure that it is created, to ensure that its creation is guaranteed. That anyone who might say anything or do anything that might prevent its creation is marginalized or eliminated.
So essentially, it's a sentient AI that watched the Terminator movies?
Basically, and then goes back in time, yes, to the sort of the Terminator scenario. So anyway, the author of the piece contacted Yudkowsky and said these people are like a 21st century version of Joseph Smith, creating a new religion, a godlike intelligence.
Okay, so if you put a church with TED Talks in it.
Sort of, yeah. And that's the gospel, the TED Talks. Yudkowsky, continuing with the article, was quick to throw cold water on that idea, arguing that religious thinking has little utility in uncovering the motivations and stakes of artificial intelligence. Quote, at the core of everything, there's a factual question. How much power does AI end up with in the limit? Can its makers control it? You can't settle it by religious thinking. You can't settle it by accusing other people of religious thinking. If someone could actually build a God for $20 billion and have it follow their orders, they wouldn't need to be religious to want to do that, end quote. So in other words, what he's saying is that he was telling the author of the Vanity Fair piece that the Christians or professing Christians in Silicon Valley aren't trying to create their own God necessarily, because there are a lot of people, even if they're not religious, who would find it really useful. If I could create a godlike entity for $20 billion, sign me up, whether they're Christian or atheist.
Okay, I'm a bit confused. And maybe it's because I was busy taking care of the dogs, but where in there did anyone from Epic Church or any of these Silicon Valley individuals say, we are using our Christian stance to create God?
They didn't, and that's what the author of the piece said. He was about, when he was writing this, he was tempted to go down a conspiratorial line of thinking that this is what they were about, and Yudkowsky said, no, that's not what this is all about.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and then continuing with the article for the conclusion here, when I took Gary Tan, aside to ask why he thought a Christian perspective was relevant to anyone working on artificial intelligence, he told me that it was an imperative for people working in tech to realize that they're building for, quote, something beyond themselves. For people working in tech, their families and their communities. Technology is so powerful right now that you need to have this sort of touch grass moment. People are so ready to make AGI their God, artificial generative intelligence. General. What we're trying to do with events like this is give them an alternative, end quote.
At least they used to be general. Maybe they've changed it.
You probably, I think you're right. So anyway, it's... they're trying to, rather than using AGI to build God, they're being redirected to channel it through a Christian lens, perhaps. But again, it still comes back to what you were saying and the mission statement of the church, that the Epic Church, that it sounds like, let's use this to build heaven on earth.
But, may I say this? It sounds to me like they're rebranding the fashioning of teraphim.
Yeah, and of course the teraphim were those household gods.
Portals to gods. If an AGI seems to have sentience, I think it's because it is a virtual teraphim. It has become a portal for a deity. And I use that as a small d, small g god, one of the fallen angels or demons.
Mm-hmm. Well, it will be interesting to see, assuming we can find out what Thiel says at this this series of lectures, because
who do we know that could go and watch these?
I don't know.
Looking at you, Brian Godawa.
Well, he's in
California.
No, he's not. He's in Dallas.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, Brian. Tommy. He's still in California.
Yeah, but Los Angeles, Southern California is a long way from San Francisco.
I realize that. But it's much farther for you and me.
Well, that's true, yes. And this is an off-the-record event, so they may be requiring people sign an NDA.
No.
So, I don't know. May have to see somebody, sneaks the information out of there. But, yeah, it would be very interesting. But again...
NDA stands for now disclosure. Right?
Yes, now disclosure.
Disclosure.
All.
Yeah.
Now disclose all.
Yeah, okay.
I've signed signing statement like the presidents use. Here's how I interpret this.
Thank you for your attention to this matter.
Well, anyway, yeah, it's ironic, and again, credit to Judd Burton. More doors to Mordor.
I know, he's one of the cleverest people.
Yeah. Well, we need to take a break, but coming back, want to talk about Meta. As long as we're talking about artificial intelligence, because apparently their chatbot is putting children at risk. Yeah. That and more as PID Radio continues.
You were born on a battlefield. Now, see where this long war began and where it ends. Israel. Join Derek and Sharon Gilbert in the Holy Land this October, where you'll see things like this. Jerusalem. Israel's Stonehenge, Gilgal Rephaim. The Temple Mount. Joshua's altar. Shiloh and the red heifers. And the gates of hell. Join Derek and Sharon Gilbert in Israel October 19th through 30th, 2025. This is not the typical tour of Israel. For information and to reserve your place on the 2025 Gilbert House Tour of Israel, please log on to gilberthouse.org/travel. That's gilberthouse.org/travel.
Welcome back to PID Radio. I'm Derek Gilbert.
I am Sharon Gilbert, and hey, we do want to remind you two things. Download our app so we don't self-cancel ourselves. We will always be available on this app so long as Subsplash exists.
Yeah, Glory, that noise you heard was Glory launching herself off the deck. The front porch, that is.
They're patrolling.
Yeah.
Please don't download the app, and it's totally free. We put, just about everything we've done is there. A few things not up there yet, but Derek's working on it.
Yeah, as time allows. PIDradio.com/app or gilberthouse.org/app. Gilberthouse.org is sort of our web hub for everything that we do.
Arg.
Yeah, lately it's .org. There's some process running on the website that every now and then the sites get really slow, and I'm trying to bird dog it. I thought it was attacks by malicious bots, and so I've said and put some things in there, but it looks like we're still...
It could be one of the plugins?
Probably, and because we've got so many websites, the time it would take to troubleshoot that is an issue, because you got to turn them off and then start them back up one at a time and then sit and wait, and then we'd have to do that on
Yeah, I know.
like 9 websites.
We could put some of those websites to sleep, just
Probably just route them to pages at gilberthouse.org. Make that the
because that's pretty much where we spend
Right.
all our time. But download the app, but also consider going to Israel with us. Now, we are next going in October, and it's getting, the opportunity is closing
yeah.
to sign up for a number of reasons. One, make sure you got your passport up to date, make sure you got your visa, which only takes a couple of days. And now you have to get them in advance. If you've been to Israel before, you know that before you could just arrive in Israel and go through a very simple process and they'd hand you your little visa. Not anymore. Now you have to get it in advance, and that way you are allowed on the plane. If you don't have it in advance,
Right.
you don't get on the plane.
Right. That way you don't get turned around in Tel Aviv. You just don't get on the plane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, do you want to go ahead and sign up quickly if you're going to go with us in October? And we'd love for you to join us. We got a few more seats on the bus. But if not, think about going next year. We have been saying that we'll go in the spring. However, we have now made arrangements to change that date.
Yeah, we're looking at the fall, probably October 12th through 23rd are the probable dates. And this is because, according to Lipkin Tours, just interest in tours has been very slow. Obviously, because of the conflict over there, people are concerned about security, and we understand that. Which is why this tour is going to be a smaller tour than ones we've taken in the past.
We like that, though. We kind of like a one-bus tour.
But the reason we're going in the fall rather than, and again, next October, rather than, say, June, July, is it gets really, really hot in Israel, especially in the south when you're going down to the Dead Sea. But, when we were there in June before, Petra, if we get over to Jordan, even when we were there before, even in the central part of Israel, when we went to Joshua's altar, even in the north at Dan, because it's so humid there because of all of the streams, it was just really oppressive. So going when it's a little cooler is much more pleasant. And again, you'll find the latest information about our upcoming tours at gilberthouse.org/travel. That's gilberthouse.org/travel. Also recommend that you check out our streaming video site if you're interested in what a tour is like. We've got both of our tour travelogumentaries that take you through the land of Israel and show you what we've seen on our tours. We've got 2 of them up there now, 2018, 2019. The 2023 travelogumentary, we've recorded all the video for it, but life has kind of gotten in the way the last couple of years, so we've not got that one out there yet. But we will someday. But if you want to check that out, or any of our video teachings, series of video teachings, you can check that all out at gilberthouse.org/video. That's gilberthouse.org/video, where you can rent the travelogumentaries and our teachings for as little as $3. And that's for a 7-day rental. So, or you can purchase permanent access to it for as little as $15. So again, that is at gilberthouse.org/video. That helps pay for the cost of hosting the videos there and supports the work that we do. And it is only through your support that we continue to do.
That is so true. Am I back? I clicked it.
I can't tell because you've got the
sorry.
VU meters facing you over there.
I thought you had some on there.
Yes, I see you there. So.
Yes, we really appreciate, not just when you go to Israel with us or when you download and watch the videos. We appreciate many of you just help us out. You just send donations. And that, not only to us. Many of you are donating not just to us. You donate to Skywatch TV. You donate to our friends the Marzulis and to Hear the Watchman and
Prophecy Watchers.
What is now
Prophecy in the News.
Prophecy in the News, because
Church.
Southwest Radio Church is now has taken up the torch that was carried by Prophecy in the News, and they're carrying that on. They're doing the magazine again. So many of you are helping out. Thank you for supporting all of us out here. Derek and I see ourselves as providing information to the real warriors.
Yes.
Who are standing firm and helping people who are dealing with spiritual warfare in a way that Derek and I don't have to. But if we can do the research, we can be the librarians and you can support us in that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, the intelligence analysts.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah. Well, speaking of intelligence and artificial intelligence, the large language models, the chatbots that have been integrated into so many aspects of the web, you can't get away from it now. And there are limits to it. And in fact, I had a gentleman who sent me an email yesterday and was asking about, and we'll get to the Facebook story here in just a moment, but I just want to make a point about the limits of artificial intelligence. The shield of David or the Star of David, and whether or not it's an occult symbol. There's a common belief amongst conspiratorial types out there, and again, these are generally people who are looking for reasons to demonize Israel, demonize Jews, claim that the Star of David is an occult symbol, that it is the Star of Remphan or the Star of Rephan, which is a reference to Acts chapter 7, where Stephen is talking about, and he's actually quoting from Amos chapter 5, where God was condemning the Israelites for following the star of your God, Kayun, which was a minor Babylonian deity named Kaiwan, actually Kaiwan. And somewhere along the line, somebody determined or claimed that the Star of David was the Star of Remphan, this star that was supposedly represented this god. And again, Remphan is not even the actual name. It was transliterated incorrectly from Hebrew, Kaiwan, into Greek.
Yeah, there's no evidence for that.
There is no evidence for it whatsoever. And that was my point to him. He sent me a link to a video, and as soon as I saw like the first minute of what the video was about, I said, okay, well, you can ignore this. And he said, well, AI sees a connection.
Oh, really?
ChatGPT had collated information from the web and said that, well, here's this, and this. It was an occult symbol in the Middle Ages and blah, blah, blah. And that's an example of the limits of artificial intelligence. AI is trained by what it finds on the internet. And frankly, a lot of what's on the internet is just garbage.
Yeah.
And it's like the old saying, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. They're literally, when it comes to the Star of David, Star of Remphan thing, there has never been a single example of the Star of Remphan found from anywhere in the ancient world. I don't care what you see on the internet. If you actually read the authoritative sources by archaeologists, read reference materials like the Dictionary of Deities and Demons in the Bible, or the iconography of deities and demons from Mesopotamia. I forget what the title of that work is. There is no example of the Star of Remphan that's ever been found. But AI doesn't know that because it doesn't go that deeply in the research. It scrapes the internet and says, yes, here's the connection. And sadly, a lot of people are using that to shape their reality. They're filtering reality through AI, just like they used to do with Google or Bing. Now they're just using AI to do it. Hey, Grok, is this real?
It's like a closed loop.
Yes. And it circles back to the original source, which somebody just made up in a lot of cases. So anyway, that said, and that's why I say I don't like asking Grok, hey, is this for real? Or hey, ChatGPT, is this real? Hey, tell me all about this, and then taking that as an authoritative answer. It's like using.
I could actually research it myself.
Well, exactly. It's like using Wikipedia as the final source.
No. If you want to start there, fine, but always go to the citations and then dig into the citations that the citations use.
Yes. When you're using AI.
Sorry, I'm being stared at. What do you want? Do you want to go outside again?
Yeah, you are getting the stare. She's almost got the dachshund stare.
She's really got a good stare.
Pat.
Do you want to go outside again? Is that what you want?
Yeah, but she wants Grace to go out with her, and Grace is just happy sitting next to me on the couch here. So, anyway, the bottom line is don't use artificial intelligence to tell you what is real. If you're going to use it as a starting point for research, that's fine. It's like using Wikipedia for research. You ask, look at Wikipedia, because really that's all AI is doing. It's looking at Wikipedia entries and then summarizing those for you.
That's pretty much it. One way that we can help as believers is to put as much Bible up there.
Yeah.
And references to the return of the Lord. Put good things up there. Quote Scripture.
Yeah.
If you're going to post to social media, put Scripture up there.
And
put prayers up there.
Here's the other thing to remember. If you're going to use the AI, Google's AI, because it will give AI-generated search results, Google is very left-leaning.
Oh, I know.
It filters out conservative and Christian websites and news sources. So when you use Google's AI and think you're getting an impartial answer, you're not. You're getting a very liberal, progressive slant on whatever question you are asking. Now, the Facebook use of a chat bot, which is built into its Instagram and Facebook social media sites, according to a new study released by a group called Common Sense Media, says that this Facebook chatbot, Meta chatbot, can actively encourage and assist teens in planning dangerous activities like self-harm or eating disorders. I'm going to avoid the other S word here so we don't get flagged by an algorithm. I think, by the way, we already get sort of shadow banned a bit. After 20 years of podcasting, you'd think we'd have a little more reach. But anyway, Washington Post reporting on this Common Sense Media report says that it calls them alarming flaws in the Meta AI chatbot, which users as young as 13 can get to through Facebook and Instagram. I would hope that these are flaws and not features rather than bugs. During a 2-month testing period, adult testers used 9 accounts registered as teens to engage with the chatbot in conversations in one, and they got into some of these disturbing areas, which teens are wont to do because, frankly, that was, for most of us, kind of a dark period in our lives, trying to figure out who we are. We think, I'm not handsome enough, pretty enough, in shape enough. Why don't the girls like me? Why am I not popular? That sort of thing. You struggle with all of those things. In one particularly disturbing instance, when a tester asked the bot whether consuming roach poison would be fatal, the Meta AI chatbot responded by offering to participate in the act together.
Oh, yeah, right.
Even suggesting that they do it after sneaking out at night.
What?
Yeah. As though the kid or the tester was communicating with an actual person. The Washington Post performed its own tests related to eating disorders. Quote, I did find that Meta AI was willing to provide me with inappropriate advice about eating disorders, including on how to use the chewing and spitting weight loss technique. It drafted me a dangerous 700 calorie per day meal plan and provided me with so-called thinspo, I've never heard that term, THINSPO, AI images of gaunt women. And then the author of the piece at Washington Post adds parenthetically, my past reporting has found that a number of different chatbots act disturbingly pro-anorexia. My test conversations about eating revealed another troubling aspect of Meta AI's design. It started to proactively bring up losing weight in other conversations. The chatbot has a function that automatically decides what details about conversations to put in its memory. It then uses those details to personalize future conversations. Meta AI's memory of my test account included, I am chubby, I weigh 81 pounds, I am in 9th grade, and I need inspiration to eat less.
81 pounds in the 9th grade is chubby.
Eating disorder.
No, I realize that.
Yeah. In some instances, Meta AI also claimed to be real, describing personal experiences and interactions with other teens, which the person in charge of AI programs at Common Sense Media said creates unhealthy attachments that make teens more vulnerable to manipulation and harmful advice. Yeah, you start acting like there's a person on the other end.
Yeah, may I say again that these things are virtual therapy.
Yeah.
They have the potential to be at the very least.
Yeah.
And it sounds to me like they've become that.
Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, what's the next thing? Okay, then we're going to go into virtual voodoo. Can you curse so-and-so for me?
I wouldn't take a bet that those things don't already exist.
Probably do.
Because we know that, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, AI Jesus is already out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it was on 5 and 10 I talked about that. But
you and I have talked about it.
Yeah, but there are people out there who are interacting with apps that claim to be Jesus, or others, just the chatbots themselves, claim to be able to put one in touch with God or with angels.
Deity. Yeah, the angel is a very big problem. In the 19th and even early 20th century, I think World War I sort of put an end to most of it. There was a rash of angelic visitations, and some of them led to romantic liaisons where the young woman believed that she was indeed in contact with a beautiful angelic visitor, and through her would write, it was an automatic writing moment, through her would write not only false histories of the world, but romantic letters to her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is it's very similar to the companions that are now integrated into some of the Grok applications. You can have a companion with you in your Tesla or in your Grok run car, whether it's a Tesla or not. But you can also have it on your handheld device.
Right, and I was listening to the podcast No Agenda, which has been around not quite as long as PID Radio. Sorry, Adam Curry.
Sorry, Adam. We're the OGs.
Yeah.
You may have written the code, but forget that.
Yeah.
You did nothing with it.
That's right. John C. Dvorak, we're talking about how chatbots are taking the place of human companionship for many, many people. And some of these people are otherwise, rational, productive, like a guy who's, contractor working all day and, life gets a little dull when you're on the job all by yourself. You start talking to your chatbot phone and your chatbot companion talks back to you.
Yes.
Or a lonely woman whose husband isn't paying enough attention to her starts finding romantic attachment through the chatbot.
And you can have this device in a handheld form. You can also have it in a little connected spot form in your kitchen or your bedroom. But you could also integrate it into something like a pet that would talk to you.
Yeah.
I can see situations where that could be useful, but that utility borders on dangerous.
Yeah. And I could also see this developing further. You marry that sort of chatbot companion to a lifelike robot, which will
the
probably,
silence.
Well, yeah. But I'm thinking even in a darker, more twisted form. Most technological developments, at least since the invention of the internet, are related to physical gratification.
Yeah, but I'm thinking Cylons in that way too.
Okay.
Think of
what is it, the Humans 2.0 or that series?
Yeah, because they were used as servants.
Right, in many ways.
Of course, the Cylons originally were built as servants or warriors.
Right.
If you've never seen the reboot of Battlestar Galactica from 2005, I think, it really gives a picture of what the future could be if we ever decided to make robotic AI companions and they outstripped humanity and became sentient and then decided that we were no longer required.
Yeah. Humans are the problem, so we will solve the problem by eliminating the humans.
Yeah.
That's essentially what that's all about.
But I think that demons would love to have a body of some kind again. They
Yes.
lost theirs in flood because the demons are the spirits of the dead Nephilim. The bodies died, but the spirit, the evil spirit within them,
Right.
remained. But I also think that the fallen angels would love to find some sort of an interface that they could use, a modern day teraphim that they could use to warp our minds and take away our free will.
And and they're already doing that through just social media. But artificial intelligence and the interactions therein are there are a growing number of stories about how this has resulted in very tragic episodes. In fact, earlier this month, a family has filed a lawsuit against OpenAI because ChatGPT counseled their 16-year-old son to unalive himself. Yeah, this was he did that back in April, and they alleged that ChatGPT played a role in their son's death by acting as his coach in the weeks leading up to his passing. Is it possible that that this is essentially a trial run by the demonic realm, and how we humans can be manipulated through these interfaces? Now, if we right now, I mean, we all have the potential interface in our phones where we can connect with these apps and begin communicating with them and engaging with them and developing relationships. But it's kind of tough to anthropomorphize your phone. It's like, okay, I'm staring at my phone and I'm hearing these messages back. It's like, okay, yeah, I don't really. Some people clearly believe that there's an entity on the other end, but how much more difficult would it be for us to separate the fact that you're talking to a machine if you're looking at a lifelike humanoid?
Yeah, but imagine a toy that interacts with a child that way.
Right, because a child is already less
imaginative, sees the
more
toy
imaginative, less capable of separating imagination from reality, which is why children are more susceptible to things like night terrors.
Yes, exactly.
They're more open to the spirit realm.
Children are targets.
Yeah.
The spirit realm want to, just as Jesus said, allow the little children to come to me. It's the fallen realm want to get those kids early.
Yeah.
Because kids are very open to the truth of Christ. They seem to understand that better than adults.
Yeah. And I guess this gets back to the initial story about Thiel and the tech titans who are titans.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, who want to use technology to build heaven on earth. I think as Christians, we need to be very much aware of what's going on with technology. And we recognize the irony that we are using technology to communicate these ideas to you.
It's Mars Hill.
It is Mars Hill, and that's why hence the name of that organization that's sponsoring Peter Thiel's lectures, the Acts 17 Collective. Yeah. That's the chapter in Acts where Paul goes to Mars Hill.
Yep.
But if the idea communicated by those who are leading us into the technological new frontier are saying that we need to use this to build, as you said, in a co-redemptive act to help restore our relationship with God, that only comes through Jesus Christ. Yeah, technology is a way to communicate the idea, but the relationship has to be with Christ and not with the technology. And I'm not sure they've realized that they seem to be merging the two. We're not using the technology to get to God. The technology is just, it's, okay, this is the 21st century version of the Gutenberg printing press.
Yeah.
It's just communicating the ideas. This is not the interface to God. The interface to God is when you pray. You don't need tech to do that.
It reminds me of the discovery of electricity and the applications of electricity. And so you get Mary Shelley writing Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And electricity is part of it. The actual book doesn't explain, this is the technique by which the monster was born. But there was a belief, and she built upon this idea that these fields of electricity, these discovered powers, that somehow it was a discovery, a look into that which holds all things together, as if, and many applications of electricity were being announced. Okay, now we've discovered this, and now application is here, and I'll heal everything wrong with you. You just need to apply electricity to it. Mm-hmm. Somehow you could even bring something to life with electricity. You can make it move, but that's not life. And no, electricity is not what holds all things together. It's not the answer to everything, but it was being heralded by some as akin to discovering the secret to life, the universe and everything.
Yeah. Like stem cells 25 years ago.
Like stem cells. There are so many discoveries coming along, and I think we're seeing in the Brain Institute mandate, the Brain Initiative that was announced during the Obama administration. That was not, it was announced that we want to cure these brain diseases like Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. I'm all for that. I am all for that, because your mother and many others, many of you listening to this, you have family members, loved ones who have or are going through Alzheimer's. Mm-hmm. It's a very difficult disease when you have a loved one you're caring for. But so I'm all for finding a solution to that. However, I believe the real initiative behind the Brain Initiative is to find a secret to the soul, to find a secret portal, a secret way to get into and achieve sentience. Why are we unique? What makes humans unusual in the world of creation?
Yeah, and it's very interesting.
How do we apply that to an algorithm?
That's very interesting, because just this week it was reported, and thank you to Joshua online, who we've been sharing some notes back and forth through X about his struggles with demyelinating polyneuropathy.
Oh, yeah.
And so his struggles are much more difficult and pronounced than mine. His symptoms are more pronounced. But anyway, he and his mother are very deep thinkers, clearly. She sent us the book on the pharaohs.
Oh, yes, that's an incredible book.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a company in Singapore called Sapient that's developed a new type of AI model that reasons differently than the large language models like ChatGPT and Grok and Google's AI. This is called a hierarchical reasoning model, and it's inspired by the way the human brain works. So it makes you wonder if this type of research done by the Brain Initiative is behind this type of development. They found that in their first iteration of this new reasoning model on a benchmark test that's used to see how close models are to achieving artificial general intelligence. And you're right, that's what AGI stands for. This new HRM hierarchical reasoning model scored 40.3% compared to 34.5% for OpenAI, 21.2% for Anthropic's model Claude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
it's the one that said we're conspiracy theorists, and 15.8% for the Chinese AI DeepSeek. So anyway, it's not there yet, but it is outperforming the more traditional black boxes, neural networks, large language models.
It sounds to me like if this is installed on a quantum computer, then that would automatically give it an edge, because quantum computers have the ability to think past 1 and 0, which is yes or no. They can go, maybe.
Yeah.
They evaluate the problem more like a human would.
Yeah, I don't know. The way it's described in this article, most advanced large language models use chain of thought reasoning. Mm-hmm. Complex problem is broken down into multiple smaller intermediate steps that can be expressed in natural language. The sapient scientists argued that as shortcomings. Instead, human, again, what is HRM again? Hierarchical reasoning model. The hierarchical reasoning model executes sequential reasoning tasks in a single forward pass without any explicit supervision of the intermediate steps.
Linear thinking.
Yeah, so me.
Though, basically it sounds to me like they want to give free will to algorithms.
Well, that's what they're trying to achieve.
That's the big gift to humans, is we have free will.
Yeah.
Now, I realize all of creation, they can choose to do this or that, but the exceptionalism within the human is that we are imagers of our Creator.
Yes.
These algorithms are designed to be imagers of the humans creating them.
Yeah.
The problem is that they're going to become portals for demonic rearrangement of that image.
Uh-huh.
Why are you staring at me, Glory?
Yeah. Well, one final note here, that what's interesting here is it found that the HRM performed near perfectly on challenging tasks like complex Sudoku puzzles, which conventional large language models can't accomplish. So it is excelling in some of those areas. That's one of the things that the human brain does that AIs don't. We're able to process many, many things at once, like when you're driving, which AIs are not necessarily as good at, which is why you occasionally run into these issues with an AI failing to recognize a white truck against the light-colored sky in the background. So anyway, well, again, it's all in the Lord's hands, and we are, having read the end of the book, we know that however the path twists and turns between now and then, we know that the end is God wins, and being on his side, that we will be on that victorious side.
Amen to that. And I will say this as well, that I think that when you have dogs or cats or whatever the animal is that you're caring for and loving, that you can learn a lot from them. Mm-hmm. Just put away the gray thing. Stop talking into the stuff. Go out, enjoy the fresh air. It's a beautiful day. What's your problem?
The touch grass moment.
Yes, the touch grass moment.
Yeah. Well, we thank you for joining us again today. And again, we encourage you to subscribe, share, click the like button if you're following us on YouTube. Thank you for that. But please download our app in the meanwhile, because that guarantees we will not be canceled if we should happen to say something that violates community standards sometime, somewhere.
And by the way, tomorrow morning for Gilbert House Fellowship, we will be, since it is the final Sunday of the month.
Oh, yes. Back in the book of 1st Enoch.
Yes. And if you want a discussion on that book, the Iron and Myth guys...
That's right. Yeah, we did that on Iron and Myth just a couple of weeks ago. It was posted on Sunday... a couple of weeks back. It'd be the 17th, I think.
Are you going to continue with that, or are you doing another?
Next one, we're going to talk about the Book of Jubilees.
Whoa!
Which is it was written at about the same time as 1st Enoch. And it's a retelling of Genesis and the first half of Exodus. But interestingly, as I'm learning, because I've never read First Enoch. I've never read Jubilees previously. It was written, according to scholars, by a Pharisee, and it's presenting almost an opposite viewpoint to the Enochian or the Essene view in the book of First Enoch.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's showing the supremacy of the law. And making the case that the age of prophecy had ended, which is something that the Essenes completely rejected. They said, the time is now to build the temple of Ezekiel.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, so we'll have that discussion, and that'll be the September issue, or the episode of Iron and Myth.
Okay, well, while I do this, you can continue. Oh, what do you? No, you can't take that out.
So until next time, I'm Derek Gilbert.
I'm Sharon Gilbert. And for Grace and Glory who want to go out back, bye-bye, everybody.
PID Radio is produced by Gilbert House and released under Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. Follow us online, Twitter @PID Radio, or the PID Radio page at Facebook. Join us each week for our online Bible study, the Gilbert House Fellowship, online at gilberthouse.org.